This story is titled, "She Bolted from the Corporate Party After I Caught Her in Bed with Someone Else, Assuming I Was Heartbroken. But my revenge was already ready. A young woman I was secretly in love with." Hey everyone, my name is Benjamin Walker, and I'm 31 years old. I've been living what most people would consider a good life in Houston, at least on the surface. I work as a marketing director for a tech company, and I've been married to my wife Lily for the past 7 years. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. It all started with a small detail, really. Her wedding ring just disappeared. Not lost, but gone, as if it had never existed. We were watching Netflix one evening when I noticed her bare hand. That ring was platinum with a perfect diamond, one that caught the light exactly right. I had spent weeks finding the perfect one for her when I proposed. I kept my voice casual when I asked, "Where's your ring?" She didn't even look up from her phone. God, I was starting to hate that thing. It was always between us lately, a digital barrier that she seemed more attached to than our marriage. "Oh, it's at the jeweler's," she said too quickly. Needed a resize. I frowned at that. 7 years of marriage and suddenly it needed a resize? That didn't make any sense. She finally looked up, and I caught a flash of irritation in her eyes. "Yeah, fingers change, don't they?" she said with a shrug. I didn't push it. Something felt wrong, but I didn't want to start an argument over a ring. Still, her explanation made zero sense. If her fingers had changed, it certainly wasn't from weight gain. Lily looked the same as always, maybe even more fit lately. She had been working out more, spending extra time getting ready in the mornings and trying new styles. I had initially thought it was for herself, maybe to break the routine, but that missing ring planted the first seed of doubt in my mind. 2 weeks passed before I got my first real clue. Lily mentioned she'd be out late, something about a new networking group. I'm not usually the jealous type. I never cared if she went out alone before, but something felt off about this. I decided to test her. "Oh, cool, which group?" I asked, trying to sound casual and genuinely interested. Her answer came too fast, almost rehearsed. "Just some people from work. You wouldn't know them." I wasn't expecting names, but her dismissive tone hit me wrong. Lily had always shared everything with me before, almost too much sometimes. But now she was all short answers and calculated words, like she was hiding something important from me. The following Saturday, I decided to check out this networking group. It took some planning. I checked her planner, tracked her new favorite spots, and made a good guess about where they might be meeting. I walked into an upscale bar downtown and spotted her immediately. She wasn't with any group. She wasn't with colleagues. She was leaning against some guy I'd never seen before, her hand on his arm, laughing too loud. Everything about their interaction was too familiar, too intimate. I froze in place, unable to believe what I was seeing. This can't be happening, I thought. Then she touched his face, her fingers brushing his cheek like she'd done it 100 times before. Something inside me snapped. I didn't make a scene, though. I stayed in the shadows, watching how they interacted, how close they stood, how her lips lingered near his ear when she spoke to him. She wasn't just cheating. She was completely comfortable with it, like they'd been together for months. When she finally kissed him, I left. I couldn't watch anymore. I didn't know what to do with myself. I drove around for hours, replaying that moment in my head, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. When I finally got home, Lily was already in bed, her phone sitting on the kitchen counter, glowing with notifications. For the first time in our marriage, I picked it up. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through her messages. There it was. His name was Ryan. Stupid, flirty texts were everywhere, along with inside jokes and things she hadn't shared with me in years. But one message broke me completely. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. You're worth the risk." She knew everything was about to change. She had left the bar because she saw me there. She thought I was just upset, but what she didn't know was that I was already planning something else, something bigger. The next morning, I was up before Lily, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee in front of me. I wasn't drinking it, just staring out the window, my mind racing through every possible confrontation and every word I wanted to throw at her. But no, that would be too easy, too satisfying for her. She didn't deserve easy. Lily walked in around 9, her hair still messy, wearing my sweatshirt over her leggings, acting like everything was normal. I felt my jaw tighten and had to force myself to stay cool. Not yet. "Morning," she said breezily, grabbing her favorite mug and pouring herself coffee. She was humming some tune as if she hadn't just betrayed our entire marriage. I couldn't help myself. How was your networking event last night? Her hand froze for a split second. I almost missed it, but I caught it. She recovered quickly, turning to face me with a fake smile that made me sick. Good, long, lot of small talk, you know how it is, she replied with practiced ease. Oh, yeah. I leaned back in my chair, swirling my coffee like I didn't care. Funny, I was in the area last night. Thought I might stop by. Couldn't find you, though. Her smile faltered slightly. I saw it. Oh, it must have been later, she said, the lies flowing from her like a second language. We left early and went somewhere quieter to talk. It made me sick how easily she could lie to my face. Right, I nodded slowly, holding her gaze until she looked away first, pretending to sip her coffee. That's when I noticed it. Her red dress from last night was on the chair by the door, all wrinkled. She hadn't even bothered hanging it up. On the collar was a small dark smudge, not lipstick. Lily only wears nude shades. This wasn't hers. I got up slowly and walked past her, picking up the dress. She stiffened behind me. You're getting sloppy, Lily, I said, keeping my voice low. Her head snapped toward me, confusion flashing in her eyes before she regained her practiced calm. What's that supposed to mean? I held up the dress, pointing at the stain. This, not yours, is it? For a split second, she looked panicked, then laughed, a sharp, hollow sound that made my blood boil. Are you seriously accusing me of something because of a smudge? She rolled her eyes. It's wine from dinner. Don't be ridiculous. She walked over and snatched the dress from my hands. The audacity in her voice was astounding. I had to clench my fists to stop myself from throwing her lies back at her. Sure, I said, letting her think she'd won. But her reaction told me everything I needed to know. She was lying, and she knew I knew. Later that afternoon, I decided to take things further. I grabbed her laptop while she was in the shower. Her phone had been locked last night, but I knew she wasn't careful with everything. Her email was logged in, like a gift from the universe. I found an entire thread with Ryan, flirting, details of their dates, plans for the next one. He wasn't just some fling. He was a fixture in her life. Lily came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping onto the hardwood floor. She froze when she saw me sitting on the bed with her laptop next to me. I didn't smile. I didn't say anything. I just stared at her, long and hard. Her eyes darted to the laptop. She swallowed. What? She said, still playing innocent. I stood up slowly, brushed past her, and whispered just loud enough, You'll see soon enough. She called my name as I walked out, but I didn't stop. I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of scrambling to cover her tracks. The game had started, and she didn't even know it yet. Lily spent the rest of the day shadowing me like a hawk. Her usual carefree attitude was gone, replaced by tension so thick you could choke on it. Every question she asked dripped with desperation. What are you up to? Why are you so quiet today? She knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what I knew. That gave me the upper hand. Around 8 p.m., she announced she was going to the grocery store. I gave her a curt nod, pretending to focus on the football game, though I wasn't actually watching. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I sprang into action. Her laptop wasn't enough. I needed something concrete, undeniable, something to destroy every excuse she could throw at me. I went to her dresser, the one she keeps meticulously organized, and started rifling through her things. Lily had always been particular about her space, but now I saw it for what it was, a hiding spot for her lies. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. Tucked inside an old shoebox at the back of a drawer, under a pile of scarves she hadn't worn in years, was her second phone. My heart pounded as I held it, wondering how I'd missed this all along. I turned it on. No password. Amateur move, Lily. Messages, photos, locations. It was all there. Ryan's name was pinned at the top of her chat list. Their messages read like some twisted love story. They had pet names for each other, talked about trips they were planning, places they wanted to go together, places Lily had never even mentioned to me, and the photos. Smiling selfies of them at the bar, at the gym, in his car. One photo stood out, her wearing that damn red dress, Ryan's arm draped possessively around her waist. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. I wanted to break something. I wanted to scream. Instead, I took screenshots of everything and sent them to myself. Evidence. This wasn't just about confronting her anymore. It was about taking back control of my life, making sure she couldn't wriggle out of the mess she'd made. Lily came home about half an hour later, carrying bags of groceries and acting like nothing had happened. She was even humming as she walked through the door, her fake confidence creeping back. I stayed calm when she walked into the kitchen, watching her place a carton of eggs on the counter. "How was the store?" I asked neutrally. She glanced at me, trying to gauge my mood. "Fine. They were out of the almond milk I like, though." I nodded while tapping my fingers on the counter. "You left your laptop open earlier." Her hands froze mid-motion, a can of soup in one hand and a loaf of bread in the other. She recovered quickly, set the items down, and laughed nervously. "Oh, was I working on something?" I didn't respond. I just held her second phone up, letting it dangle from my fingers. The color drained from her face. "Where did you find that?" she asked, her voice sharp, no longer pretending. "Where do you think?" I leaned against the counter. "Better question. How long were you planning to keep this hidden? Or did you think I was too stupid to notice?" Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. It's not what it looks like." "Oh, it's exactly what it looks like," I said, my voice rising, anger finally bubbling over. I slammed the phone on the counter. "You've been sneaking around with Ryan, lying to my face, and you didn't even have the decency to cover your tracks properly. What the hell is wrong with you?" Lily's eyes darted between the phone and me. Her usual quick-witted lies were gone. Instead, she went for the last card in her deck. Defiance. "Maybe if you'd paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed Ryan." Her words hit me like a slap, but I didn't flinch. I stepped closer, my voice turning cold. "Don't you dare try to blame this on me. You made this choice, Lily. You destroyed this. Not me." The room went silent. The only sound was her shallow breathing. Then she grabbed the phone and stormed out of the kitchen, muttering something about needing space. I let her go. Let her think she still had some control. Because while she was hiding in the bedroom, texting Ryan to cover her tracks, I was preparing for my next move. When Lily stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door like a teenager, I stayed put in the kitchen. My fists were clenched so tight my knuckles ached, but I couldn't stop now. She thought she could run away, regroup, and twist the narrative like she always did. Not this time. While hearing her muffled footsteps upstairs, I stared at her second phone in my hand. She thought she was clever snatching it back, but I had managed to swipe it off the counter when she wasn't looking. The chat with Ryan was my next target. I didn't just want their text history. I wanted to find out exactly who this guy was. If he thought he could waltz into my life and take what I'd built, he had another thing coming. I opened the messages and scrolled up to the beginning of their thread. It started innocently enough with an exchange about a mutual project. Ryan's full name was mentioned at the top in an email Lily had forwarded to her phone. That was all I needed. I grabbed my laptop and typed his name into every platform: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, bingo. Ryan was a walking stereotype. His Instagram was a curated gallery of gym selfies, overpriced steak dinners, and deep quotes about hustling and living his best life. He even had a highlight reel called My People, where Lily's face popped up more than once. The videos made my blood boil. In one, she was laughing while Ryan held the camera too close to her face. In another, she was sitting on his lap at a party, her head thrown back like she didn't have a care in the world. The captions read, "This one's trouble, but I like a challenge, and some risks are worth taking." What struck me most wasn't just the casual disrespect. It was how easy, how public they were. Ryan wasn't afraid of being caught because Lily clearly hadn't cared enough to set boundaries. She was flaunting it. I found more on LinkedIn, his job, office location, even the gym he trained at. All there in his carefully polished profile. His arrogance was astounding. He probably thought he was untouchable. As I pieced together Ryan's world, a plan began forming in my mind. Lily had betrayed me, yes, but Ryan had made himself part of this mess. That meant he was fair game. I wasn't going to confront him outright. That would give them both the satisfaction of playing the victim. No, I wanted to dismantle their fantasy world piece by piece. By the time Lily came out of the bedroom, pretending to grab a glass of water, I was already sending evidence to myself. Screenshots of their photos, his captions, her messages. She glanced at me warily as I sat at the dining table typing furiously. "Are you still sulking?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. I didn't even look up. Oh, I'm just getting started. That shut her up. She hesitated for a second, then walked back to the bedroom. Good. Let her stew. By midnight, I had a dossier on Ryan that would make a private investigator jealous. I knew where he worked, his hobbies, his routines. I had all the ammunition I needed to make his life as uncomfortable as he had made mine. My first step was simple. Ryan's workplace had an open email directory for clients and contacts. I drafted a carefully worded message to his boss, attached screenshots of Instagram posts and emails with Lily. I made sure it was polite, professional, dripping with plausible deniability. The subject line read, "Concern regarding employee conduct." I wrote, "Dear manager's name, hope this email finds you well. I recently came across some posts on Instagram involving one of your employees, Ryan last name, that raised concerns about his professional conduct. I thought it best to bring this to your attention, as the content includes references to inappropriate workplace relationships. Please let me know if you require additional information. Best regards, a concerned party." I didn't sign my name. I didn't need to. By the time Ryan saw the fallout, he'd know exactly where it came from. As I hit send, a rush of satisfaction coursed through me. Lily thought she could waltz around with Ryan like I wouldn't notice. Ryan thought he could step into my life without consequences. They were both wrong. The first domino had fallen, and I couldn't wait to watch the rest of their world collapse. The next morning, Lily acted like nothing had happened. She walked into the kitchen with that same fake smile, wearing her favorite silk robe, humming like this was some cozy Sunday morning. "Do you want pancakes?" she asked, pulling out a mixing bowl as if this were normal, as if our marriage wasn't now a full-blown canyon between us. I almost laughed. Almost. "No thanks," I said flatly, folding my arms. "Lost my appetite around the time you decided to climb into Ryan's lap." Her hands froze mid-stir. The clink of the whisk against the bowl stopped abruptly. She turned to face me, her expression tight. "Are we really doing this again?" she snapped. "You're reading into things that aren't there. I told you he's just a friend." The nerve of her. "You mean the kind of friend who sends texts about how you feel like fire in his arms? Or the kind who has you sitting on his lap while you wear the dress you bought for our anniversary dinner?" I let each word drip with venom. Lily's face went pale, but she recovered quickly, her defenses shooting up like clockwork. "You've been snooping through my phone, my private conversations? That's a real violation of trust, you know." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was trying to spin herself as the victim. The sheer audacity almost made me laugh. "Violation of trust?" I repeated while standing up. "You're sleeping with another man and I'm the one violating trust? Do you even hear yourself?" She rolled her eyes, a flicker of anger breaking through her calm facade. "I don't know what you think you've seen, but you're blowing everything out of proportion. Ryan and I haven't even—" I cut her off with a sharp laugh. "Don't you dare finish that sentence. I've seen the texts, the photos. You can lie to yourself all you want, but don't insult me by lying to my face." For a moment she was speechless, her mouth open like she wanted to protest, but nothing came out. Finally, she put the mixing bowl down and crossed her arms. "Fine," she said coldly. "What do you want me to say, that I made a mistake? That I was lonely? You're not exactly a saint, you know. You're so busy with work, with your own life. You barely notice I exist anymore." Ah, there it was, the blame, the twisted logic. Somehow her betrayal was my fault. "Don't," I said, my voice low but firm. "Don't you dare try to make this about me. You had options, Lily. You could have talked to me. You could have ended this marriage if you were so unhappy. But instead you chose to lie, to sneak around, to humiliate me." Her jaw tightened, her defenses crumbling just slightly. "You don't understand," she said, her voice quieter now. It wasn't supposed to happen like this." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, please, enlighten me. How was it supposed to happen? Were you hoping I'd just turn a blind eye while you played house with Ryan? Or were you planning to dump me when it was convenient for you?" Her silence told me everything I needed to know. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the counter. We both glanced at it at the same time. I didn't miss the way her face tensed when Ryan's name popped up. "Go ahead," I said, gesturing to the phone. "Answer it. Or better yet, put it on speaker. Let's hear what your friend has to say." She hesitated, her hand hovering over the phone. Then she swiped to ignore the call, grabbed her phone, and shoved it into her pocket. I laughed bitterly. "Yeah, that's what I thought. Lily opened her mouth to argue, but before she could, I pulled out my trump card. "By the way," I said casually, grabbing my coffee mug and heading for the door, "you might want to warn your little boyfriend. His boss is going to have a very interesting morning." I sent a few things his way. Her eyes widened in panic. "What did you do?" I smiled coldly. "Just helping Ryan get some accountability. Since he's such a professional." Her face was a mix of shock and fury. I didn't stick around to see how she'd react. I walked out the door, leaving her standing there, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But the unraveling had begun, and I wasn't going to stop until I had burned their little fantasy world to the ground. The fallout started faster than I expected. By midday, Ryan's Instagram went dark. His smug selfies vanished, his motivational captions gone, his highlight reels disappeared. It was like watching a monument crumble in real time. Lily spent most of the day in our bedroom, pacing back and forth with her phone glued to her ear. She thought closing the door gave her privacy, but the walls weren't that thick. I could hear the panic in her voice, her sharp whispers as she tried to salvage whatever she could. "What do you mean he knows?" A pause. "Who told him?" Another pause. "I don't care if your boss is upset. Fix it. This wasn't supposed to get out." I smirked at that. Oh, how the mighty were falling. By evening, Lily finally emerged. Her eyes were narrowed, her shoulders tense. She was gearing up for a fight, but I had no intention of backing down. She stood in the living room, her phone clutched in her hand like a weapon. "What did you do?" she demanded, her voice cold and sharp. I looked up from my laptop where I was casually scrolling through emails. "What needed to be done?" I said, leaning back in my chair. "Ryan wanted to play games. I just raised the stakes." Her jaw tightened, but there was a flicker of something else in her expression. Fear. "You had no right," she spat. "This was between us. You've dragged someone else into it." I stood slowly, my hands resting on the edge of the table. "You dragged him into it the moment you decided to cheat, Lily. Don't act like you're some innocent bystander. You made this mess. Now you get to deal with the fallout." She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a low hiss. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Ryan could lose his job." I raised an eyebrow and let her words hang in the air. "Good. Maybe he'll learn to keep his hands off another man's wife." The silence between us was electric. Lily's face twisted, emotions fighting for dominance, anger, shame, desperation. Finally, she turned away, running a hand through her hair. "You're a vindictive bastard," she said quietly. I shrugged my shoulders. "And you're a liar. Looks like we're both learning new things about each other." As the tension thickened, her phone buzzed again. She ignored it at first, but when it buzzed a second time, she couldn't resist. She glanced at the screen and froze. Her reaction was all the confirmation I needed. "Go ahead," I said, gesturing toward the phone. "Answer it. Or are you afraid of what he'll say?" She hesitated, then finally pressed the green button and brought the phone to her ear. "What?" she snapped, her voice low. I stayed rooted in place, watching her every move. "No, I don't know how he found out," she hissed, pacing back and forth. "I'm handling it. Just stop calling me for now." She hung up abruptly and turned to face me, her composure unraveling. "You think this is funny?" she shouted. "You think ruining someone's life makes you the bigger person?" I laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about ruining lives? You ruined ours the second you decided I wasn't good enough. Don't stand there and try to guilt me for cleaning up the mess you made." Lily threw her hands in the air, exasperated. "What do you want from me, huh? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I got caught. I'm sorry you're too boring for me to stay faithful. Happy now?" Her words hit me like a sledgehammer, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I smiled, cold, detached. "Thank you," I said simply. She frowned. "For what?" "For confirming exactly who you are," I replied, walking past her. "Now I don't have to feel guilty for what happens next." Lily called after me, but I didn't stop. My focus was shifting. This wasn't just about Lily or Ryan anymore. It was about making sure I came out of this chaos stronger, leaving them both to deal with the wreckage they had created. And I was just getting started. Lily was unraveling faster than I expected. Her calm facade was completely gone, replaced with a frantic energy that manifested in constant whispered phone conversations. Every time I entered a room, she would stiffen, and her voice would drop even lower, like she still thought she could keep secrets from me. She didn't realize I was already 10 steps ahead of her. By midweek, the cracks in Ryan's life were starting to show. A quick check of LinkedIn confirmed he was on leave from work. I made a few casual inquiries through mutual acquaintances, and they painted an even bleaker picture. Ryan had been called into an HR meeting after someone forwarded incriminating evidence about his personal conduct to his boss. He had left that meeting visibly shaken, and rumors about an inappropriate relationship with a married client, Lily, were already spreading throughout the office. Lily didn't mention any of this, of course. She kept up her usual charade, acting like pretending nothing was wrong could somehow erase the chaos I'd set in motion. But I wanted more than rumors, more than awkward HR meetings. I wanted finality. That evening, while Lily was taking a walk to clear her head, I dug deeper into her second phone. Buried in the messages with Ryan, I found exactly what I was hoping for: a plan to meet. They'd arranged what they were calling a final goodbye, though the messages made it clear neither of them believed it would actually be the last time. The date, time, and location were all there. Friday night, 8 p.m., at a small cafe downtown. Perfect. I spent the next day preparing, making sure every piece of my plan was in place. When Friday arrived, Lily seemed tense but determined. She avoided eye contact all afternoon, which only confirmed she was sticking to her plan. By 6:30, she announced she was heading out. "Work dinner," she said, slipping on a pair of heels and grabbing her bag. Her tone was overly casual, like she was trying too hard not to sound suspicious. I didn't respond, just nodded and watched as she walked out the door. The moment her car disappeared down the street, I grabbed my keys and followed. I didn't go directly to the cafe. I parked a block away instead and waited. I watched as Lily arrived and slipped inside. Ryan was already there, sitting in a corner by the window, his body language radiating tension. Lily joined him, and her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. It stung, I won't lie. Seeing her look at him the way she used to look at me made my stomach churn, but I forced the emotion down. This wasn't the time to lose focus. I stayed in the car, taking photos from a distance, documenting their cozy little reunion. They weren't exactly discreet. Lily leaned in close, touching his arm, her body language open and inviting. Ryan looked nervous, glancing around occasionally like he half expected someone to burst in, someone like me. But I didn't confront them there. No, I wanted them to think they'd gotten away with it. I waited until Lily left, watched her drive off, and then followed Ryan to his next destination, home. I parked a few houses down from his modest suburban rental, took note of the lights turning on as he entered, and then made my move. Ryan answered the door looking pale and tired, but his expression shifted to sheer panic when he saw me standing there. "We need to talk," I said, stepping forward before he could slam the door in my face. He stammered, trying to compose himself. "Look, I don't know what you think." "Save it," I snapped. "I don't care about your excuses. This isn't a conversation, it's a warning." He blinked, confused and visibly shaken. "You've already lost your job," I continued, my voice low and steady. "But if you think that's the end of this, you're dead wrong. Stay away from my wife. Do you hear me?" Ryan raised his hands defensively. "Look, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to—" "I said, do you hear me?" I repeated, my tone icy. He nodded quickly, his face pale. "Yes, I hear you." I stared him down a moment longer, letting the weight of my words sink in. Then I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, a broken shell of the man who thought he could steal my life. When I got home, Lily was already asleep or pretending to be. Good. Let her lie in bed thinking she'd pulled off another deception. Tomorrow she would wake up to the next phase of my plan, and she wouldn't see it coming. The morning after Lily's little rendezvous, I woke up earlier than usual. The sun was barely risen, but my mind was already racing with what needed to happen next. This wasn't just about vengeance anymore. It was about closure, about dragging every lie Lily had built into the harsh light of day. She was still asleep when I started phase 2. My first stop was the closet where her designer handbags and carefully folded scarves were neatly arranged. Buried in one of her favorite totes was a receipt I'd planted, a printed copy of her cafe bill from the night before, with Ryan's name scrolled in the signature line. I left it on the kitchen counter, right where she'd see it when she came down for her morning coffee. The trap was set. Lily finally emerged around 9:30, wearing an oversized sweater and her usual groggy expression. She barely glanced at me as she poured herself a cup of coffee until her eyes landed on the receipt. She froze. "What's this?" she asked, her voice carefully neutral, though I could hear the tension beneath it. I shrugged my shoulders and flipped through the newspaper like I didn't have a care in the world. Looks like something you left in your bag. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up the receipt, her eyes scanning the text. When she saw the name, her face turned ashen. "Why are you going through my things?" she demanded, her voice rising. "Oh, I was just looking for proof of that work dinner you mentioned last night," I said with a light tone. "Guess I found it." Lily slammed the receipt down on the counter. "You're unbelievable. You're spying on me now? Snooping through my stuff like some jealous—" "Stop," I said sharply, cutting her off. "We're way past the point of you pretending this is my fault. You lied to me, Lily, again, and you weren't even smart enough to cover your tracks this time." Her jaw tightened, but she didn't deny it. For the first time, she looked genuinely cornered. "What do you want from me?" she snapped, her voice cracking slightly. "An apology? Fine, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I got caught. I'm sorry I hurt you. But you've made your point. Can we move on now?" I laughed bitterly. "Move on? You think this is something we can just sweep under the rug? Do you even understand what you've done? Or are you so deep in your own delusion that you don't see the damage you've caused?" Her eyes darted around the room, searching for something. An excuse, an escape, anything. Finally, she sank into the chair across from me, her shoulders slumping. "I didn't mean for it to get this far," she said quietly. "But it did," I replied. "And now we're here. So what are you going to do about it?" She looked up at me, her eyes glossy with tears. For a moment I thought I saw a flicker of remorse, but then she spoke, and any hope of salvaging this crumbled. "I don't know," she admitted. "I don't know if I can fix this. I don't even know if I want to." Her words hung in the air like a dagger twisting in my chest. "You don't know if you want to," I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. She shook her head, a single tear sliding down her cheek. "I didn't plan for any of this to happen, but I haven't been happy for a long time, and I don't think you have either." I stared at her, the weight of her confession sinking in. This wasn't just betrayal, it was rejection of me, of us, of everything we'd built together. I finally stood, my movement slow and deliberate. "Thanks for clearing that up," I said, my voice cold. "Makes what I'm about to do a hell of a lot easier." Lily frowned, confusion evident. "What are you talking about?" I didn't answer. Instead, I grabbed my jacket and walked out the door, leaving her sitting there, clutching the receipt like it was the last thread of the life she'd already torn apart. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew one thing. The mirror had shattered. There was no putting it back together. The only thing left now was to pick up the sharpest pieces and cut the cord that still tied me to her. I drove aimlessly for a while, the sound of the engine and the hum of tires on the road the only things grounding me. Lily's words kept replaying in my head. "I don't think I want to fix this." It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was the finality of it. She had made her choice, and for the first time I realized I wasn't angry. I was free. By the time I pulled into a small park, the sun was high in the sky. I sat on a weathered bench, phone in hand, staring at the screen. All the evidence I had collected was there, neatly saved in a folder. Screenshots of texts, pictures of Lily and Ryan together, and of course the receipt from their cafe date. I scrolled through it all one last time. A small part of me was tempted to just delete everything and walk away, but then I thought of the lies, the disrespect, the audacity she'd shown time and time again. No, she didn't get to walk away clean. I opened my messaging app and composed a group text to Lily, Ryan, Lily's family, and our closest friends. Subject, transparency. I think it's time everyone knows the truth. Lily, this is for you. Your messages with Ryan, your meetups, your lies. You betrayed me in this marriage, and I deserve better than the web of deceit you've spun. Consider this my formal goodbye. I attached every piece of evidence and hit send. The message showed as delivered. Just like that, it was out of my hands. I sat there waiting for the fallout to begin. My phone buzzed almost immediately. First, it was Lily. "Are you serious? What the hell is wrong with you? You're ruining my life." I didn't respond. Then her sister Marie. "Oh my God, is this true? I can't believe this. Lily said she was happy. What happened?" I didn't respond to her either. Let Lily explain it. Finally, Ryan. "What's your problem, dude? Why are you dragging everyone into this?" That one got a reply. "Me? My problem? My problem is you thought you could screw my wife and walk away without consequences. Welcome to consequences, Ryan." I blocked him after that. It didn't take long for the ripple effect to spread. By the time I got back to the house, Lily was sitting on the couch, her face streaked with tears, phone clutched in her hands. The look she gave me when I walked in was pure venom. "You ruined everything," she spat, her voice hoarse. "Do you even realize what you've done?" I dropped my keys on the counter and turned to face her. "Ruined everything? No, Lily. You ruined everything when you decided I wasn't enough for you. I just made sure everyone else saw the truth." She stood, her hands trembling, her breathing ragged. "I hate you," she hissed, each word laced with venom. I chuckled bitterly. "Good, makes this easier." I walked past her into the bedroom where I grabbed a suitcase I'd packed earlier that morning. I didn't need much, just essentials. Lily didn't say a word as I walked back out, dragging the suitcase behind me. At the door, I paused and looked over my shoulder. "You're right, Lily," I said, my voice soft but firm. I wasn't happy either, but unlike you, I had the decency to stay loyal. Her face crumpled at that, but I didn't wait for a response. I stepped out and shut the door behind me. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt lighter. The cord that tied me to her, the lies, the betrayal, the resentment, was finally severed. I didn't know what came next, but I knew one thing. It would be on my terms and without her. I didn't go far at first. I checked into a cheap hotel on the outskirts of town, just enough space to think without the shadow of Lily looming over me. The first night I didn't sleep. My mind raced with what I'd done and with what was still to come. The next morning, my phone was already buzzing. Lily had texted more times than I could count. Some messages were angry, full of venom and accusations. "You've ruined my reputation. Everyone's calling me a cheater because of you. You're pathetic." Others tried to manipulate, pleading with me to take it all back. "You didn't have to do this. We could have fixed things. Please just talk to me. Let's figure this out." I ignored all of them. The real surprise came from the people around us, friends, family, even casual acquaintances reaching out, offering their takes and opinions. Lily's mother called first. Her voice trembled as she tried to make sense of it all. "Is this true?" she asked, like she was hoping I'd say no. "Every word," I replied simply. She sighed deeply. "I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry, but she's still my daughter." I didn't blame her. Loyalty to family runs deep, even when the truth is ugly. Then came my best friend Andrew. His response was a mix of disbelief and rage. "I never liked her," he said after hearing the whole story. "I didn't want to say anything, but there was always something off about the way she acted. You deserved better, man." I wasn't sure if that made me feel better or worse. But the most unexpected message came from Marie, Lily's sister. "I'm sorry you're going through this. If it helps, Lily has been like this her whole life, always thinking she could get away with anything. I'm glad someone finally called her out." I didn't reply to her, but it stuck with me. It made me realize this wasn't just about betrayal, it was about who Lily really was. By the second day, Lily had gone silent, but the damage was already spreading. Word got back that Ryan's leave from his workplace was now indefinite. Friends who had once been Lily's confidants were ghosting her, too embarrassed to be associated with her mess. Then came the final blow. I filed for divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, even after everything that had happened. 7 years of marriage isn't something you can just erase. But every step Lily took with Ryan had led us here, and there was no turning back. I had the paperwork served to her that afternoon. She didn't call or text this time. Instead, a single email popped up in my inbox later that evening. "I got the papers. I don't even know what to say anymore. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I know I can't fix it. I hope you can find someone who makes you happy someday. Lily." It was the first time she'd said anything close to taking accountability, but it didn't matter. I had already made peace with what I had to do. As I sat in that small hotel room staring at her email, I realized something. I didn't feel anger anymore, not the fiery rage that drove me to expose her lies, nor the hollow ache of betrayal. I felt free. Lily's life was crumbling around her. Ryan had been dragged down with her, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't sinking with them. I had a clean slate ahead, one without lies, without doubt, without her, and I was ready to take it. The day after I served the divorce papers, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to the gym. Not the half-hearted visits Lily used to nag me about, but a real sweat-dripping, adrenaline-pumping workout. For the first time in what felt like forever, The weight on my shoulders wasn't just emotional. Each rep, each mile on the treadmill, felt like I was shedding layers of the past. Lily and Ryan, the lies, the humiliation. I left it all there, one drop of sweat at a time. Later that evening, I sat down in my hotel room with a notepad and pen. I've never been much of a writer, but I needed to sort my thoughts. What do I do now? Where do I go from here? The life I'd built for over a decade was gone, shattered by Lily's choices. But that also meant I had a blank slate, a chance to build something new. The first item on my list was practical: find a new place to live. The house Lily and I shared was too full of memories, too tainted by her betrayal. She could have it. I wanted no part of it anymore. The second item was personal: reconnect with myself. Over the years, I'd poured so much energy into keeping our relationship afloat that I'd lost track of who I was. What did I love? What made me happy? These questions scared me as much as they excited me. The third was surprisingly simple: surround myself with people who care, and that's exactly what I did. Over the next few weeks, I started reaching out to old friends, people I'd drifted away from because Lily didn't like them, or because I'd been too busy trying to be the perfect husband. I grabbed beers with Andrew, caught up with some college buddies, and even reconnected with my younger sister, who had always seen through Lily's act. "It's about time," she said when I told her everything. "You deserve better than her, and you always have." Hearing those words hit differently now. Before, I might have brushed them off, chalked them up to sibling loyalty, but now I was starting to believe them. Meanwhile, Lily was still trying to salvage her life. The divorce papers had sent a shockwave through her world. Friends stopped returning her calls. Her family was distancing themselves. Even Ryan had gone radio silent. One night she sent a single text: "I miss us." I stared at the message for a long time. The words felt both familiar and hollow. This was the Lily I'd fallen for, the one who knew how to say the right things, even when she didn't mean them. But I wasn't that person anymore. My reply was simple: I didn't hear from her again after that. I focused on myself instead. I threw myself into work, took up hobbies I'd always wanted to try: boxing, cooking, even a little photography. Every step felt like reclaiming a part of myself that had been buried for too long. The biggest shift came when I finally found a new place to live, a small but cozy apartment on the other side of town. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No shared memories, no shadows of betrayal, just me and a fresh start. I hung up the first photo I'd ever taken, a skyline at sunset, the colors vibrant and hopeful. It was a reminder that even after the darkest storms, there's still light waiting on the horizon. The life I'd known was gone, but for the first time in a long time, I was okay with that. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't trapped in Lily's lies or Ryan's shadow. I was free and finally ready to move forward. Months passed, and at first it felt strange, almost surreal, to live in a world without Lily. There were no arguments over dinner plans, no silent standoffs over suspicious late nights, no waking up in the middle of the night to find her texting someone else. The quiet was unsettling at first, but eventually it became comforting. The divorce was finalized quicker than expected. Lily didn't fight it. In fact, she barely showed up, both literally and figuratively. Her lawyer handled most of the responses. By the end, the house, her ring, the memories of our life together became hers to hold on to. I kept what mattered most: my dignity, my freedom, and the knowledge that I would never again settle for someone who treated me like an afterthought. The final papers arrived in the mail on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I remember holding the envelope in my hands, staring at the bold words, "Final Decree of Divorce." It should have felt like an ending, but instead, it felt like a beginning. I threw the envelope onto the counter and grabbed my keys. That night, I drove to a nearby lake I used to visit as a teenager. The rain had stopped by the time I arrived, leaving the air crisp and clean. I sat on the hood of my car, looking out at the water, and for the first time in years, I let myself dream about the future. Not the future I had imagined with Lily, but something better, something real. Over time, the sting of betrayal dulled into a distant ache. I heard from mutual friends occasionally, whispers about how Lily was struggling to pick up the pieces. Her reputation was in tatters. Her friends had distanced themselves. Her relationship with Ryan had fizzled out almost immediately after the truth came out. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction at her downfall, but all I felt was pity. Lily had made her choices. Now she had to live with them. As for me, I was thriving. My job had taken off in ways I hadn't expected. With no emotional baggage weighing me down, I poured myself into work, earning a promotion and enough savings to consider bigger goals. I started traveling, visiting places I'd always dreamed of, but never prioritized. And somewhere along the way, I met someone. Her name was Hannah. We met at a photography workshop of all places, both fumbling with our cameras during a sunset shoot. She laughed at my terrible jokes, and I found myself smiling more in that one afternoon than I had in the last 7 years. Hannah was different. She didn't play games. She didn't make excuses. Most importantly, she made me feel like I mattered. It was early, and we were taking things slow, but for the first time in a long time, I felt something I thought was lost forever. Hope. Looking back, I don't regret anything. Not the marriage, not the heartbreak, not even the messy public unraveling. It taught me lessons I could never have learned otherwise. I learned to trust my instincts, to stand up for myself, to never settle for less than I deserve. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, here's my advice. Don't let someone else's betrayal define you. Don't stay in a situation where you're undervalued, disrespected, or ignored. You're worth more than that, even if it takes time to believe it. Because no matter how dark things feel right now, there's always a way out. And sometimes that way out is the beginning of something better than you ever imagined. For me, that's what this journey became. A painful, messy, but ultimately freeing path to a new life. And I'm never looking back.